Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Mr. Phil Young has decided to allow the Boy Scouts here to lead the pledge, if they would be so kind. If they would come up and lead the pledge. Where do you want it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And Phil, do you still want the invocation? And Phil Young has also asked that Mr. David Harden, Pastor David Harden, lead us in the invocation.
Our resident pastor.
Yes. You are a God that controls the wind and the rain. We ask that you shine the sun upon us tonight to use better judgment. We ask that you allow us to be humble, cool, calm, and collective, and respectful to others' opinions that matter. We also thank you for allowing us to come together as a community with several differences, but with one goal in mind. And we ask that you shine upon us and that you send us away with grace, happiness, and no sorrow. Peace be with you.
And with you.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Next part on the agenda, item number 2 on the agenda is ceremonial presentations and awards. Councilman Harden?
Good evening. I had the opportunity to present the Stratford EMS Explorers Pulse with a check for $500 from the town, and this check goes towards some of the educational training. The Explorers Pulse is where I first began learning how to save lives on the ambulance at the age of 16. They provide an awesome service to the town, blood pressure screenings, and taking vital signs at a host of town events. So I applaud them again for doing this. These are young teens from different schools, Stratford High School and Bunnell, and they come together to make a difference. These are children out in the community who have an interest in the medical field, and again, I applaud them for doing that. I'm not sure if a representative was here tonight. I did receive a call later on that the person receiving this check would be working. So again, I just wanted to make it public knowledge that they are receiving a $500 check from the town that was supported by me and the mayor's office and a host of other people. So again, I applaud them on doing a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was an error. Mr. Mayor, did you have a ceremonial presentation?
Not at this time.
I just want to say that was an error on my part. We should have been approving the minutes first. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to move the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? If there's no other discussion, I just want to point out that item 7.2.1, that regards the appointments to the Beautification Committee. We were talking about appointments to regular appointments to beautification, not alternate, so if they can be made regular appointments. And also, Ms. Sylvia Martin's name, I believe, is with a Y, S-Y-L-V-I-A. Okay, thank you. That's the only adjustment I'd like to make to that. Okay. Okay. All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 10-0. Okay. Council members' response to comments from the public forum. Mr. Duma, would you like to start us off?
I would. First of all, as always, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I appreciate it. Last meeting, I had actually said, I was a little disappointed because there weren't as many people there. I'm glad you're back. To touch on a few things, with the Mighty Quinn Foundation. I sincerely appreciate all the work you do. I think it's very important both to our community in terms of getting the Shakespeare Theater back up and running. So I just want to specifically point out that organization is a great organization, and I will absolutely support them. The big issue that everyone's talking about is the budget. As some people know, I proposed a budget that will fully fund the Mayor's Board of Ed budget request without raising taxes. I'm not happy with the proposal. It's not something that I'm excited about, but it's something we need to do. I have seniors in my district or seniors in neighboring districts who've talked to me who, they're on Social Security. They're not getting any COLA this year, and they get tax liens on their house. And we're piling on. People can't survive if we keep doing this. At the same time, the two things people talk to me about that they really are passionate about are the taxes are too high and the schools aren't good enough. We can do something about both of those in one swoop. I'm not happy about the proposal. You have to make hard decisions, and I don't want to make those hard decisions, but we have to. It does a few things. One thing people talked about that article in the Post, this proposal eliminates 23 positions. 7 of them are vacancies that we won't fill. 12 of them are positions that people are in those positions and we're going to eliminate if this proposal passes, and 4 are positions that would be moved off the general fund books onto some of the enterprise funds. That's the big ticket at the end of the day. Is HR costs are a huge part. Another thing I asked for is ultimately we need to get concessions from our employees, both unionized employees and non-unionized employees. I'm not anti-union. I like unions. I'm a supporter of unions. I work on both sides of the table in terms of labor relations. But this is something that we need to work together to fix to make sure that we can treat our employees well over the long term. And one thing we can do is we can have furlough days. If every employee in the town took a furlough day, one furlough day for every employee in the town would save $122,799.83. That's just one furlough day. Yes, that's a sacrifice for people to make, and I appreciate that. But that's a much lower sacrifice than having to lay people off. There are a lot of things like that we can do, and we have to support the administration so that they can go ahead and do that and make the taxpayers a priority instead of protecting town hall. We also have to make some big changes. I propose eliminating the CAO's office as a standalone office. And
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
just a quick question to Mr. Dumas. Mr. Dumas, are you bringing out an amendment this
I'm
evening?
not, as people were talking about my proposal during the
But you're not going to bring out your amendment?
I will when we get there, yeah.
Okay, then wouldn't it be more appropriate to describe what you would like to do at that time?
I certainly would be happy to. One of the points I was going to make
Can you
there...
address the chair, please? Both of you.
One of the points I was going to make there is I hope this motion can actually get on the floor. We'll see. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you should know that people are trying. There are people on the council who are listening, and we want to do something about it. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that. And in terms of other issues, we've raised the issue someone raised the issue of the Shakespeare money. I think we need to get to the bottom of that. That money went somewhere, and we need to find it out. People donated that money to make sure it went to a good cause, and we have to make sure it goes to a good cause.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Kadim, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quite naturally, I was not here, but the sentiment is still the same. It takes a lot of courage to come down here and speak your mind. It's necessary that we always continue to do that. Just a clarity and an understanding. I'm not for any budget that raises taxes. I think all of these years we've been getting our taxes raised over and over again. I think there's something inside of this town's fiscal economics that can actually give us a tax break for once. So if the mayor and his staff can do that, that would be great. So thank you very much, and God bless all of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kadim. Mr. Hardin?
I had to sit here and think about what it is that I wanted to say because this is a very sensitive subject, not only for the council members who are residents and the residents on its own. I think, this evening there were people who made some comments about us doing backdoor deals and not doing what is right. And I was kind of insulted by that because my decision is made solely by myself. It's not made what we call a mechanical push, someone pushing me to make that decision. This is a daunting task that plagues us all. It almost is like we can't get out of our own way, not only the residents, but the administration and the council. But you have to give us some room to make a decision. Nobody wants to see the taxes raised. The position that we're in is something that mounted up over time because of decisions that were made incorrectly. And we have a responsibility to do what's right. And I know some people may not like it. I don't even like it. But we have to do what's right. So I'm asking that whatever decision that we decide to make, that you leave here thinking, hey, listen, these guys really spent a lot of time on this. There are a lot of great ideas that came from everyone on this council individually. A lot of great ideas. But we have to find the one that fits the piece of the puzzle. So again, even though I did the prayer today, I'm hoping that we will walk out knowing that something was done, and it wasn't done with any political agenda on my end. So again, I appreciate everyone coming out, and I thank you for all your support, and we have a job to do. And right now it's falling on our shoulders. And I was telling Mark today that I'm having chest pain, even thinking about it, and even on my way here, but I'll be okay. I took 2 Rolaids and some water, so I'm hoping to be all right. So again, I appreciate everybody's input, and I just appreciate the push that we get from the residents to do what's right, because that's important. Whatever you say doesn't fall on deaf ears. It actually pulls our heartstrings. So it just doesn't go in vain, whatever you say. So again, I thank you guys very much for coming out.
Thank you very much. Mr. Greska.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and I'm going to switch it up a little bit and thank everyone for their condolences and well wishes and flowers and the like on the passing of my mom. I guess I'm getting old because this is all very much weighing on me, more so than ever. And to David's point, we do listen to what you say and take it to heart. And between here and Hartford, well, I'm not getting much sleep and the like, but we will all try to do what's best for the town and moving forward. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gresko. Mr. Young?
Thank you all for coming out. I really appreciate it. These have been a long couple of days. A lot of soul searching, a lot of thinking about this, talking to people, trying to get some ideas on what's right. And I go back to our last meeting last week with Mitzi. We're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. And that's kind of the way it feels at this point. We've all are trying to make educated decisions in terms of what's going to help us out. We're also having to pay for a lot of past sins. And if we don't do some of these things and don't have some of these things happen, it's going to get worse in the future. And we can start this year and continue to work on it for next year. And I don't think we can do all the drastic things that are being called for. I mean, if you look even at Stephanie's proposal, it's still got an increase on it. And, so the bottom line is the town's in pretty dire straits right now. And, so we're doing our best. Please, we do listen to you, and we are trying. And these are not easy decisions for any of us. So thank you again for coming out, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Young. Ms. Antezo?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and I'll reiterate what I said at Stratford High School. No matter what we do, we will be wrong.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chase.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. First, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. I realize that your comments and concerns were heartfelt, and I share those with you. The council spent 10 workshops trying to iron out something that we could cobble together to at least get enough votes to pass something. And I think we're going to get there tonight. Now, people aren't going to, I would say, like what we're proposing. Some have already seen parts of it. I don't think they've actually seen the final version of the budget yet, but we'll be discussing that in the as we get to that portion of the agenda this evening. I don't want to repeat what Mr. Harden said, but we hear you, we understand the concern, and we're doing the best that we can. And I want to thank you again for coming out.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chase. Mr. Llewellyn.
I too, again, thanks everyone for coming out. It's nice seeing, like Mark was saying, the crowd get a little bit bigger again. I try to write down the first and last name of every person who speaks, and then up at the top of my graph paper, I kind of make a little chart of like topics. And one of the things that I found over the last 2 or 3 months was that there were like 7 or 8 people that spoke about only 2 or 3 different topics. Tonight I counted 17 speakers and 7 different topics. And to me, that's a sign that kind of as we move forward, yes, tonight's the budget decision. Yes, it's a big decision, but there are many other facets and other elements that make up of Stratford. So hope to see you all again next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Manis?
I wanted to thank everyone for coming out. I want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all the moms who are here. And just kind of put things in perspective. We're going to make a decision today, and, people have lives and things going on. Mr. Gresko had a hard week. I acknowledge that. Mr. Young had a hard weekend. A lot of us have lost people. 7 years ago, at this time, I had to make a decision for my mom. She passed on May 9th, and I thought that would be the hardest decision I'd ever make. And I thought I was all alone. And then I found all of this, and all of these people in my neighborhoods who I care so deeply about. And, May is the month of Mary. It's the day Ava was baptized. And I just can't help but believe that the people sitting here are all good people. And they're making a decision for you, not against you, and they're doing the best they can. Their grandmas, their grandpas, their dads, their moms, they were little kids once too. And so I just hope that you can turn your hearts and understand, even Mayor Harkins was a little boy once too. Okay? So I hope that, and the reason I tell you this personal stuff is because I want to put it all in perspective. Because if I could pay $800 a year or $8 million a year, it wouldn't matter to my mom back. Some things are worth more than money. And when we think about the money that we spend for our students on Board of Ed, and we think about the money that we spend to have the services that we need, just put it in perspective of what it means to us to have a community that thrives. And I think everybody up here has a different idea about what that means, and hopefully we'll come to a compromise. And just remember, it's a decision, it's a day, life goes on tomorrow, and no one's going to fault anybody else. We're going to be bigger than that because we're Stratford. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a few words. First, thank you for contributing to the town's discourse. And I just want to give you background about what we have been doing in terms of the budget. And part of that background is remembering what happened last year. Because people are saying that we're having a 5% increase. Well, Well, that's actually not quite true, because there was some creative budgeting that happened last year, and you all remember this. Last year's council passed a budget with a $5 million hole in it, and their mayor's plan to fill that hole was to sell the WPCA in what would have been a bad deal for Stratford. Without the sale, the expenditures put in the budget would have made necessary an increase in the town's mill rate to 38.11 from the 36.98 that was put in the 2016 budget. 38.11 is what those expenditures implied. Okay? The good news is that the this council, plugged most of the hole in that budget in the past few months by doing two main things: contributing less to the workman's comp short and long-term obligation accounts that should have been contributed, and by using the savings that resulted from an unusually warm winter. This year, developing a budget is particularly difficult. Our goal was to develop an honest budget that had no tricks in it. There are three anchors that weighing on the town's budget: employee benefits, the state's fiscal situation, and town debt. None of those are in the control of this council. Take employee benefits. 19% of the budget is devoted to benefits for employees, and of that, 10% is for funding the town's past pension obligations. 1 out of every $10 that you spend on taxes is for past pension obligations. Those obligations were a result of not funding the pensions for years, for decades. About 6% of the town's budget is for paying off debt. As the town bonds, it must pay off its debts. The state's poor fiscal situation is trickling down to Connecticut's towns, including Stratford. Between March, when the mayor put out his proposed budget, and now, just between March and now, funding from the state to Stratford decreased by $903,000. Now, that's a new number today. Today, the finance director, the mayor, everybody was hearing about different numbers. So the state's situation is really not unkeeled quite yet. The budget that will be proposed at this meeting compensates for the underfunding of Stratford's public education in recent years. We've fallen behind Connecticut's average spending per student, and even considering comparable communities, Stratford's students' performance could be improved. It's time to catch up before we fall behind further, and that requires considerable investment. While it is difficult to raise the mill rate, it is more difficult to give to a generation of Stratford children an educational experience that is demonstrably subpar. Making the difficult trade-off between BOE funding and mill rate, we found a reasonable compromise at increased funding for BOE by 6.8%. Okay? We are not meeting the $8 million increase that the BOE wanted, but we are over the 5.9% it takes just to keep status quo and not laying off teachers. Approximately half of Stratford's budget is spent on public education, while 1/4 is earmarked for employee benefits and debt retirement. That is, 75% of the town's budget is anchored in those items. If you add in the basic services of public safety and public works, then over 92% of the budget is accounted for. The budget that will be proposed allows for investments in the community to continue and for a small new investment in the arts. Being the owner of Shakespeare Theater, it is important that the town have a point person to oversee that theater development. That position will be advertised, and we hope to get a high-level professional for that position. And if we don't, we won't hire for it. Clearly, a compromised budget is not what the mayor proposed. It tightens administrative spending more than what you're comfortable with. But there are two views of Stratford's future. One is that if we offer higher quality education and become a more interesting and vibrant place to live, people will want to live here. Property values will increase, mill rate will decrease. The other view is one of teacher and police layoffs with minimal impact on the mill rate because most of the mill rate is already accounted for. I adhere to the view of hope for the town. A modest difference in the mill rate between these two scenarios would promise that the future of the town be bright. But along with increased funding for education and maintained funding for essential town services comes greater oversight by this town council. The council has stressed at its committee meetings its oversight function with department heads, and some of them, frankly, haven't been used to it. So the vision here is one of investment and oversight. We will invest in our children and community and have greater oversight as to how monies are spent. During the course of the year, budget adjustments can be made, but a compromised bipartisan budget that will be presented is a plan to move the town forward. The council's compromised budget shows the progress we can make with a challenging landscape. In recent months, the town council also worked to close the hole left in last year's budget created by the inclusion of the WPCA sale. And because of the council's work in plugging that hole, Stratford's bond rating has not been impacted. That was new news this week, and that was tremendous news, because if it had been impacted, the cost of Stratford High would have skyrocketed. So I'm now happy that we are seeing the results of the hard work that the bipartisan majority of the council did earlier in the year. So thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Mr. Young?
Madam,
No,
are you going to do it? You want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to move to, I'd like to move to amend the agenda to move 5.2.3.2 A and B.
You would like to move those items forward?
Forward.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second, Madam Chairman.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Mr. Young?
I motion to amend this item as followed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, where are we?
Let me just read this. The Ordinance Committee conducted a special meeting of May 3rd, at which time the following was referred to council with unfavorable recommendation. An ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the town of Stratford for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2016, and ending June 30th, 2017, and appropriating the sum of $216,051,861 in accordance therewith. Mr. Young?
Resolved that the second reading of the above entitled ordinance be dispensed with, or the reading of the entitled ordinance be dispensed with as copies thereof have been received by all council members and foregoing be and is hereby approved effective July 1st, 2016.
Okay, is there a second to that resolution?
Second, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Young?
I move to amend this item as follows. An amendment to the ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the town of Stratford, Connecticut for the fiscal year 7/1/2016 to 6/30/2017 to decrease the appropriation from $2,116,051,861 to $215,159,468. This change is follows. Hard copy will be given to the council clerk.
I'm sorry.
Second, Madam Chairman.
Is there a second? Okay. Discussion?
I have a question first, because I'm concerned about the WPCA budget, and I've gotten several answers on this. Tonight, if we adopt this budget, and the WPCA budget is included in here, does that mean that the budget as stated will stand, or do we need to amend it tonight?
May I ask the town
Or can
attorney
we-
to answer that
or
question?
can we take up the WPCA budget at another time? But it's in this budget.
Okay, I yield, the town attorney?
Town attorney?
We're discussing that right now, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
It's okay. What's the question? No. They don't have.
Do you need a recess?
Can I? Should I go up there or here?
You can stay here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going, Ms. Collier's deputized to the town attorney's office.
Thank you. I always wanted to go to law school. Yeah. You do not adopt the WPCA budget here this evening. At the fourth Monday of the month, you'll have your regular WPCA meeting. At that meeting, you will set the sewer rate and make any other adjustments to that budget that you see fit. Usually, if you adopt like say you change the rate up or down, that automatically changes the revenue numbers that are generated by those rates. And then I usually make the adjustment to the bottom line for you. But we can do that at that meeting. But do understand that any numbers that are WPCA related that are in tonight's budget in the general fund cannot be changed later on. So if there is a charge to or from WPCA that's voted on in this budget, the corresponding revenue or expense, it has to match in 2 weeks when you do WPCA.
Would that also be true of the CIP and CEP?
I didn't hear you?
Would that also be true of the CEP and CIP?
Eventually, when we get to that. No, yes, when we get to that. But if you, in 2 weeks, if you have a WPCA budget and you leave your capital line the way it is, then that'll be the same number in the capital budget that you pass later on. But the unique thing about WPCA is you have the option later on, even if you pass
Okay, I'm sorry, we're talking about this amendment.
Okay,
We should
sorry.
be discussing this amendment.
You're right,
Thank you
okay.
very much.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
You're right,
I
you're
need
right.
to revise the numbers that I stated before.
Yes,
In the decrease the appropriation from $216,051,861 to $215,144 and $250.
Decrease.
Decrease.
okay, thank you. That adjustment is so noted. Okay, any other discussion on this? I'm sorry, is there a second to that modification? Second, all in favor of the modification?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, I'd like to offer an amendment.
I'm sorry.
Since Sue brought it up.
We have an amendment for
And that is one line. On the town budget, and I give you the number, 01108-6376, add the sewer fee use by the town for $200,000 as required by state law. I have the law here.
We just voted.
Miss, there's
No,
an
we just
amendment.
voted on on Phil's amendment.
We
to-
didn't,
Once
we didn't
adopt-
vote on anything.
Yes,
We can
we
start.
did.
No, we didn't.
Oh, sorry.
No, we haven't, he amended the amendment just to clarify what the numbers were. That we voted on, but we haven't voted on the amendment. We just voted on the modification to that amendment. Okay?
There is a point of information, or a point of privilege. I don't recall that we voted on anything yet. But there was the
We just
primary
said aye.
motion that was never voted on, and then there was the primary motion. Then there was an amendment to the primary motion that was never voted on or debated, and then there was a amendment attempted to be made to the amendment prior to actually voting on the original amendment.
Yeah, you had you had a motion that was moved and seconded, then there was an amendment to reduce the amount from 216,051,861 to 215,159,468. One of the council members then raised a question regarding the WPCA before that was ever seconded. There was never a second on that. The movement then corrected his amendment from 216,051,861 to 215,144,250.
Right.
That was seconded. There's no need to vote on anything right now. You have an amendment to the motion before the body for discussion right now.
And the motion is, the amendment to the motion is the main one, right? The 215,159,468, or 255,144,250.
What you have before you now, you have a motion to approve an ordinance and a motion to amend that ordinance by reducing the 216,051,861 to 215,144,250, which you should now be discussing.
Okay.
Madam Chair, point of information, is this motion in writing? I know we were handed 2 documents, and if not, I'd request it be in writing.
There is one in writing, and I assume that you got that.
Well, I don't know, we were handed 2 documents, I don't know which document it is.
It's the one that says 255,144, 215,144,250 on it. Move it. Okay, let's move this along. Is there any more discussion on the main amendment?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I think that this, the main amendment does not go nearly far enough. This is, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. quite frankly, we need to cut a lot more than this. The taxpayers can't handle it. And quite frankly, I don't think we should be cutting from, although I want to cut on the municipal side, I don't think we should be cutting from the Board of Ed. Under the Harkins administration, they have quite simply refused to properly fund the Board of Ed. Yes, I understand the sentiment that many people hold that we shouldn't do it all in 1 year, but it's so bad that I think we need to. So, this budget is, basically rubber stamping the mayor's budget. If people want to support that, that's their prerogative, but I can't. I think we need to make much more substantial cuts than this, and I think that we need to actually take care of the taxpayers, take care of the seniors who aren't getting a cost of living adjustment, people who are worried about putting food on their table or paying their taxes.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Kadim?
Thank you, Madam Chair. When you look at the budget, it's a whole lot to do. It's a whole lot to see. And you always find, if you look at years prior to this budget here, that there's money can be saved. And the fact that it just keeps raising and raising is never justified, and I could never support this budget at all. The 215 or the 260, doesn't matter. The taxpayers have to have that one time in their life that they can have a break from the same silliness that's been going on for too many years. All the council members, some of them are economically stable, so, it won't affect them, but some of us are not economically stable. And a lot of people in the 3rd District that I live in, a lot of senior citizens really are suffering. And if you cannot find it in your capacity, with all the education you guys have, everyone in every part of the office, to come with a budget that's low enough to give the taxpayers a break for a change and also bring back the WPCA lower than it is now, because there's no justification for it. So you have to, I understand that we have to have a budget, but this ain't the one. The ordinance, none of this is the one.
Okay, thank
so
you very
I
much.
have to say, like I said, after looking through all of this stuff, man, everything, even the Board of Ed, they got all of these positions on top of positions on top of positions. You might have a $50,000 salary, then you have $18,000 for this, and $30,000 for that, and this, and it'll keep going and going, and it's disgusting. Y'all need to relax with all of this spending, money.
Okay,
I'll be finished in a second. Now, this has to stop. It really has to stop. You have to say to the taxpayers, thank you for all your years of being a part of this town and paying your taxes by giving them a tax break and giving them some money back. Try to do that instead of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Manis?
So,
Madam Chair,
did you want?
Ms. Manis?
Okay.
I
thanks.
just
Ms.
want-
Manis?
Okay. The gentrification of Stratford is a concern of mine. I go to Stamford every day to work at 6 a.m. I get off the train at 7, and I walk the streets, and then I come back at 4:30. And one thing I don't see is a lot of elderly people, no senior citizens. And that's the Stratford that I grew up in. So when you guys talk about senior citizens and people on fixed incomes, that's the heartbeat of Stratford. And I think Ms. Heimlich mentioned that 60% of our town is senior citizens. And senior citizens do support education, and they do support our students. They really do. One of the things, a story that was told to me, and this is the last thing I'll say, from a councilman who used to sit in this seat, was about a young John Harkins who came to a meeting for an expansion of Broadbridge Avenue when I was just a little kid. And he looked in front of the group, and he looked at the counselor, and he said, "Why do you want this? The people don't support it. Why do you want this so badly? Just don't do it." And that counselor never ran again, and you're mayor. And that's the John Harkins people remember. To protect them and what they want. And I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders because I'm doing your job. They have no one to look to up there anymore. You're the neighborhood guy, and you forgot them. You forgot them. They have oxygen tanks. They come to the door crying for you, not for me, for you. They care about you, and they love you, and they want you to love them back and not try to get rid of them.
Okay, any more discussion about the amendment?
Oh, I
Okay.
just want to,
Thank you, Ms.
Madam
Montez.
Chairman, I'd like to offer, since I can't do the amendment, my amendment now, I just want to observe that with the town expenses saving $307,000, if I've got the latest one. Have I got the latest one? Yes. Anyway, what is not included here is the $200,000 bill that the WPCA is going to send you. I have the state statute right here, which states that municipal-owned and other tax-exempt property which uses a sewer system shall be subject. So if you subtract $200,000 from 307, you end up with an actual saving of $107,000.
Okay, thank you. Is there a call to question?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just did some math here, and it's actually gotten worse. I know some of that might be because of the loss of revenue from the state, but based on the finance director's documents, we're looking at a $329.03 tax bill increase for the average taxpayer. Just think about that. And that's not something that I personally can countenance. Those of you who might vote for this, you should think about that. Think about that when you go see your neighbors, when if you have any elderly family in town who are on Social Security. That's a lot of money, and people can't afford it. There's some people on this council who can't afford it, but a lot of our people can, and we need to think about them. And there was a good improvement in the Board of Ed funding, but we're basically deciding on a $40,000 arts coordinator versus a teacher or a math coach. That's what the people who are voting on this are deciding. And I hope you guys can sleep at night.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kadim.
I just want to say all 10 of us are in a very unique situation. We can do something about business as usual. We can actually change something here. And I pray that you guys think about that. We are in a unique position where we can actually stop the same business as usual, raising the taxes, hiding behind reasons that you're giving money to the Board of Ed to the extreme level that they didn't have it before. If you look at that budget real carefully, you'll see that some of these jobs are way out there. And the same thing in terms of our town in general. We need services, yes, but I'm just saying all of us, all 10 of us, in a unique position. We can make a difference. So don't vote like you feel. Vote how the town feels. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the question. Okay, we're going to do this by roll call vote. The question is the amendment.
Madam Chair, you have to have
Oh,
a
I'm
motion
sorry.
to call.
Motion to call the question.
Aye.
I make a motion to call the question, Madam
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Chase. Is there a second?
I thought it was made already.
Is there a second to that motion to call the question?
I did second it.
Okay, all in favor of calling the question?
No.
No.
Okay,
Can we have a roll call vote?
yep, go ahead, Mr. Dumas.
No.
No.
Yes.
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 Yes, so the motion passes 7-3. Okay? The motion before us is the amendment to the ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the town of Stratford, Connecticut for the fiscal year 7/1/16 to 6/30/17 to decrease the appropriation from $216,051,861 to $215,144,250. Is that correct, Mr. Leclerc?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to do this by roll call vote.
For our seniors, our taxpayers, and our students, no.
Okay.
No, this is a joke.
Okay, Mr. Harden votes yes.
No.
Mr. Gresco votes no.
Yes.
I have a question.
No, is it a
Were
yes
there
or a
two
no?
amendments or one?
One amendment right now.
No.
Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Yes.
I could walk out and not make this tie happen. And I won't. No.
Okay. She voted no. And I'm afraid I vote yes. Okay, it is a tie vote. Mr. Mayor?
Madam Chair, I rise to a point of procedure. Does the mayor get to vote on a tie vote on an amendment, or is it on the final passage of a resolution or ordinance?
I will ask Mr. Leclerc to answer that question, please.
Yes, he gets to vote on this tie vote.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes 6-5.
That's the emotion.
The amendment passes 6-5. Okay. Okay. The next thing on the agenda is proposed mill rate ordinance.
Madam Chairman.
I'm sorry, the next thing on the agenda is the proposed...
Madam Chairman, I have an amendment.
I have an amendment also, which I mentioned before.
Okay. Okay, we have before us the amendment that has passed, and we have before us the item as amended. Okay? There can be amendments made to that.
Okay. What I'm amending is the addition of $200,000 sewer use fee to the town budget. I'll give you the line item. 011086376. It's on page 24. And that is according to state law.
I'm sorry, Ms.
I have the state law
Is
right.
that
Ms. Antezzo, I'm sorry. What is the amendment that you are proposing?
I'm adding $200,000 to the town budget expense on line 011086376.
I know. Okay, thank you.
And
Is there
the
is there a second?
I'll give you the reason for that. The reason for it is we're also adding it as
Okay.
income to the WPCA.
Is there a second to that amendment?
If you could clarify, she's proposing the addition, Councilwoman is proposing the addition of $200,000 to line item 011086376,
Yes.
an additional expense.
So that would be an additional expense to the town. Okay,
Through
is there a second to
Through the
that?
chair, I'm asking Ms. Antezzo to withdraw the motion so that I can make a motion to appeal the decision of the chair.
Pardon?
I'm asking that you withdraw your motion so that I can make a motion to appeal the decision of the chair.
You're out of order for that. Okay, is there a second to Ms. Antezzo's amendment?
Yeah, it's too late to
Okay.
take up an appeal once you're on discussing a substantive
I'll
matter.
withdraw it now, if you want to make an appeal.
Okay,
I
there's
don't know, is it too late?
No. You're through the chair. The motion, the second amendment made by Councilman Antezzo is properly before the body, but it
Yes.
needs a second, I believe.
Well, she just withdrew it before there was a second.
She withdrew it now?
No, she did not withdraw that.
Did she withdraw it?
She has not withdrawn that amendment? She did?
I did.
And now I
hear
make a
that.
motion to appeal the decision of the chair that the mayor can break a 5-5 tie on amendment versus the final passage of an ordinance.
Okay.
The
The town, that was already ruled upon.
Yes, and I'm moving for an appeal of the decision of the chair.
appeal is untimely at this time, as this council has taken up additional discussion or a matter since the item was voted on to which the appeal is sought. So it's an untimely appeal, so it's not properly before this body.
Okay, thank you.
What's properly before the body is item 5.2.3.2A, the ordinance for the annual operating budget for the town of Stratford as amended by the motion that was just passed.
No, she withdrew it.
No, the item as amended is before the
Yes,
body
that
for
one was
discussion
passed.
or whatever pleasure this
Yep.
body has, amendment,
Okay.
whatever.
Is there any more, are there any more amendments to this?
Okay, I'm going to make the motion again then. I would like to amend the motion to add the sewer fee of $200,000 to the town budget as an expense, and I'll give you the line item again, 01108-6376. It is on page 24 of our budget.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Discussion? Okay, called vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Manis?
I just want to point out that this is a general statute that Ms. Santezo is referring to. She's done her research and her homework, and if we do not include this, I believe we're violating the law.
Okay. Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Kadim?
I just want to say to our councilwoman, Ms. Santizo, great job, good work. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to call the question. Is
I would
there-
also like to express my support for Ms. Santezo.
Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
if there's one person who's an expert in this area, it's Mitzi Antezo. She's educated me quite a bit on the WPCA, but I just want to let the other members of the council know, by approving this motion, we in effect will be raising the mill rate even further.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
We have to have a motion to call the
I'm
question.
sorry.
Madam
Tired.
Chairman, I move that we call the question.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of calling the question? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes 10-0. Okay, now for the question. For the amendment to charge the town $200,000.
Madam
for the
Chairman,
use
I
of
would ask for a
sewers.
roll call vote.
Okay. Mr. Duma?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that passes 10-0. Okay. Okay, are there any other amendments to this?
Madam Chair, I move to amend 5.2.3.2A to reduce the budget by the town's expenditures by $9,595,255 in accord with a document that was previously provided to each of the members.
Okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion?
9595255.
Yes, Ms. Manis?
I appreciate the work Mr. Dumas has done on this amendment. It's no easy task, and it requires a significant amount of belt tightening. I'm no stranger to being poor. I lived for a year without a hot water heater. I know what it's like out there. The things that are being cut here, I think we can do it because we're a team. And I think we can do it. Whether or not other people agree with me, different story.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir. Mr. Duma?
All right, I talked about this briefly during the comments section, and I think we can already probably assume that there may be a foregone conclusion on how this vote is going to go. But the simple fact is, if we chose to, we could have passed a budget that not only didn't raise taxes, it actually technically lowered them by 0.1/16 of a mil. Now, obviously, that's not much. That's $10. $10 goes a long way for some people, but the main point is that we could do it without raising the mill rate, and we could do it fully funding the Mayor's Board of Education request. Two very important things. People are choosing not to do that. They're choosing not to do that to protect the salary of the Registrar of Voters. They're choosing not to do that to protect a bloated mayoral staff. They're choosing not to do that to make sure that all the people in Town Hall who have jobs have those jobs protected. So here's what we would have done. We would have eliminated, I'm assuming this, I'm using the past tense already. We would eliminate the standalone CAO office and reduce the mayor's staff, and the CEO would get moved to the mayor's staff. It would merge the finance and HR departments to operate like some municipalities do, and the state does with OPM. It would obviously reduce the staff in the mayor's office, ask for concessions from the unions with an understanding we're going to work with them. It would defer capital expenditures because sometimes you have to tighten your belt. If you can't afford to pay your bills, then guess what? You don't have cable this year. It would, number one, in my heart, it would reduce the amount of money we spend on lawyers. It does add one position. It's not an arts coordinator. It's an in-house lawyer to save money on how much we spend on lawyers. It would also roll back the 2014 salary increases that the mayor handed out, anticipating the windfall from the WPCA sale, handed out to many of the top-appointed staff. It would roll those raises back. It would also cut, this one's my favorite, there's an anticipated expenses account. There's 360, this is in contingency, it's $360,576. This past year from that account, $125,156.26 was paid to LAC Associates, and I like Larry Ciccarelli a lot. He's a good guy. That's his company. That was $125,000 paid to somebody out of some random account for a new job. And that's what we call a slush account. So it would eliminate the slush account. I don't say all this stuff knowing that everything in this proposal makes people happy. People would lose their jobs, and that's a serious thing. But people not being able to put food on their table is also a serious thing. Special education students who aren't being serviced because there isn't enough money, and the Board of Ed has to be nervous about one kid moving to town and having them to hire another employee because some kid with special needs moved to town. That kid needs those services. And this matters to me a lot because I was a special education student when I was a kid. And in first grade, I went from special needs to the top performing class in all the statistics because I got the help I needed. We need to do that for our kids. We can't be cutting this money. And they say, they're going to justify it saying, they're eliminating math coaches. Math coaches are important. And they're important to the administration, so they're going to do them. And where's that money going to come from? It's going to come from tutors and special education teachers, people that really have an impact on people's lives. And the fact is, they can make a difference. And I can show that to you because I'm here today. I went to great schools and had a great opportunity because teachers helped me when I was that young. So remember that when these 6 people are up for re-election.
Mr. Kadim. Mr. Kadim.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a very, very aggressive budget, and a lot of these things are very good. But some of these things I do not support. It has nothing to do with, your perspective, respectively, Mr. Dumas, but your perspective about how you said 6 people, so I guess you're talking about Democrats, because there's only 6 Democrats here.
No, so. you didn't
I'm
vote
sorry,
for the budget.
Mr. Kadim is
Okay,
speaking.
all right, just checking.
Just wanted to make sure you're
Mr.
Thank you,
Kadim
brother,
is
because,
speaking.
I'm always
And
clear
address
about
the
what
chair,
I say.
please.
And thank you so much. But I don't support some of these things because I recognize it's important to keep the town running. But some of these things, yes, they should be cut. I agree. There's a great many that should be cut. I'm not going to stand out and say, this one shouldn't be or shouldn't be. But it has to be tweaked with the necessary corrections because I really don't believe that everyone should have to fit the bill. There's a lot of jobs that's, for example, since we were talking about in particular, the road registrar. Those guys work very, very hard, and 2 years ago they were given a little raise, and for whatever reason you want to take it away, I don't really think so. But if that's what you'll choose to do, of course you can do what you want. In terms of the education budget can stand to come down some. That's just how I feel. Now, love me or hate me, that's how I feel. Education is very important. But you can't, when you look at it, see, you can stand here and say education is important, but if you didn't look at this budget, you don't know where I'm coming from. This budget is so blown up. How you have just $200,000 sitting here just in case something happened, or $500,000, and then these jobs, like I said, on top of jobs. But thank you very much. I've yielded my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Manis.
I have a question.
Wait, you're
Wait, wait,
interrupting.
wait.
Ms. Manis, Ms. Manis.
Sorry. You always want to talk when I talk. One of the issues with this right now, and you can see it in Mr. Dumas and Mr. Kadim's comments regarding this, is the lack of coordination and cooperation among all members to not isolate and not ostracize certain members for their input. And that is not just one person's fault, that's everybody. I'm deeply, deeply concerned about these changes, and I'm looking at the other ones and thinking, couldn't we just get it together? Because coming together is what this 6-4 is all about. Coming together is what we were trying to do. So the fact that we have two competing ideas that easily could have been worked out is really sad to me, because I just feel like we're not listening to each other. And certain people, Mr. Dumas has done a lot of work, and you've taken a lot of beatings up here. And I want you to know, Mark really cares about the procedures and the protocols, and he wants us to do well, and he wants everyone up here, regardless of party, to do their best and to have a good town. And I think everybody feels that way. But we can't continue to isolate and ignore the ideas of others, because that's not what democracy is all about.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Manis. Ms. Antezo.
Madam Chairman, I have a question again for the lawyers. Would it be possible to, since there is an amendment on the floor, would it be possible to, and I don't know if I'm using the right word, postpone a decision on this until tomorrow? One of our big problems that I see is, even though we received the budget back in March 12th, we did not sit down and look at monetary things. We did not sit down and do line-by-line items. Instead, we had, and I went to every single one except one, which was 2 Saturdays ago, because I went to a baptism.
Ms. Antezo, are we talking about
But anyway,
this
wait, my
discussion about this
question, though,
amendment?
is can we postpone action on this, since there's
This is not the,
an amendment? Can we postpone taking this up until tomorrow?
okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion on this amendment?
She had a
No, I'm asking the lawyers.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a procedural motion that a member could make to postpone till a date certain, and the date certain being tomorrow. It would require a motion be seconded, and it's non-debatable. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, what
Yes.
was
Yes.
your answer? Yes, you can
Yes.
postpone action?
Yes, you can always you need a motion. You'd have to move to postpone.
I see.
This item.
All right, I make a
to
motion
it.
that we postpone action on this amendment until tomorrow.
Is this a proper
At a
time for
meeting.
this to be made right now, Brian?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, is there a second for that motion to postpone this, this amendment until tomorrow? Okay, there's no second. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to discussing the amendment. Is there any other discussion anybody would like to make on this amendment? No? Then let's vote on this amendment. We'll do this by roll call. I'm sorry, do I have a motion to call the question?
I make a motion that we move and call the question.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of calling the question? Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, that passes 10-0. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
And
Mr.
again,
Duma?
you're doing a roll call on Councilman Dumas' motion to
Exactly.
reduce by $9,595,255.
Exactly. Okay, Mr. Duma?
yes.
Mr. Kadim?
If there can be some necessary corrections, yes.
No, I'm sorry, this is on this motion, what's in front of us.
Yes, I like to cut the budget so the taxpayers don't
Okay.
have to foot the bill all the time. And if this is the one that's going to do it, then yes.
Okay, thank you. On this amendment?
Yeah, can you go around?
Okay, Mr. Gresko?
No.
No. I'm sorry, that was one no. Mr. Young? No. Ms. Antezo?
Yes.
Mr.
No.
Hayes?
No.
So much for the fiscal conservatives. Yes.
Mr. Jordan is a no, and I'm a no, so that motion fails 6-4. Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion for a recess?
Madam Chair, I have an amendment. I move to amend the town garage payroll line item to reduce it by $5,153.
Sorry, I just called a recess.
You didn't call it recess. You
I
asked if
second.
There's a motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
You made a motion? Yes, you did.
No, I said motion to call a recess.
And I was getting ready to second
Okay.
it.
The chair can call a recess if you wish.
I'm sorry?
The chair can call a recess.
Right. Oh.
Oh,
I second it.
I am calling a recess.
And just
I second.
How long about
10 minutes. This is Mr. Phil Young. Speak into the microphone, please.
I move the question, item 5.2.3.2A, as amended.
Second.
Okay.
Question.
Discussion?
Wait a minute. When was a motion made to adopt it as amended?
I'm sorry? We
There
voted
should
on
be
the
a-
amendment.
But then
The
if you're
other-
voting on the ordinance, you have to vote on somebody making a motion to adopt it as amended.
We didn't get there yet.
Is that correct?
He's trying to get there.
That's what this
Well,
motion
he's calling
is
the
just about.
question. How can you
He's
call the
calling
question?
just for... Okay, the motion was made and it was seconded.
It's a motion to call a question. When a motion is made to call a question, that is a motion to effectively end debate and to go to an immediate vote on the item. In this case, the item is amended. So if the motion to call the question is successful, then this body has to vote on item
Yes.
5.2.3.2 as amended.
Okay, and that's what the motion is in front of us.
So your vote is to end
All
debate.
in favor?
No.
Aye.
No, I ask for a roll call vote.
No.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, that passes, that motion
I ask
passes
for a roll call vote.
7-3. You're not recognized.
I'm
Excuse
asking
me.
for a roll call vote. I have a right to
There
under
were
the
4
rules.
votes no, and I heard them. Don't play games.
Cut it out.
I have a right under the rules to have a roll call vote.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. We will call a roll call vote. Go ahead, Mr. Duma, on that. Call
No.
the question.
No.
Let's try to hold it together.
Is
I'll
that-
pass now.
This is the motion to vote on the ordinance as amended.
It's a motion to call the question, so this
Yes,
is not
to
a vote
call
on
the
the
question,
item.
right.
It's just to end debate. You'll then get to vote on the item as amended.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes, motion passes 6-4.
I rise to a point of procedure. Through the chair, a motion to call the question requires a 2/3 majority.
Mr. Florek.
I would draw your attention to page 200 on that book in front of you.
Madam Chairman, I have never seen this council require a two-thirds majority in the past.
Okay, thank you. And are you requiring that now? Is your advice that you require a 2/3 majority or 6-4 majority?
And I think that the historical practice of this council is that the majority rules.
Okay, thank you. So on the question, okay, this will be a roll call vote. The question is on the ordinance
I guess
as
this book
amended.
means nothing.
I'm sorry. Mr. Duma, how do you vote? On the ordinance as amended.
I move to appeal the decision of the chair.
I second it.
All in favor of appealing the decision of
Well,
the
there's
chair?
some debate.
Wait, Mr. Leclerc?
Now, on an appeal of the decision of the chair, it's been moved and seconded. The question before the body is, shall the decision of the chair stand? You have a right to express your position, your ruling on this, Madam Chairman, and then you just go to the vote of the body, if you wish. You can comment on this, or you could just go to a vote.
Well, it's open,
We shall go
it's
to
subject
the
to
vote.
debate as well.
We shall go to the vote.
The chair can comment first and last, and other members are allowed to comment
I'm sorry, I
once
can't
and only.
hear you.
The chairman can comment at the beginning. She can comment first, and she gets to comment again, should you wish. In the interim, other council members can each comment, should they choose, but only one time,
Okay.
on an appeal to the chair.
This is an appeal to the chair.
That's correct.
I am relying on Mr. Florick's wisdom.
I am relying on Robert's Rules of Order and our council rules, which don't address this specific question, which means that under our council rules, Robert's Rules of Order prevail. And on page 200 of the most recent edition of Robert's Rules, it says that a motion to call the question requires a 2/3 vote, period. That would be on page 200 for those reading at home. So we're basically just saying we're ignoring the rules. I have some good amendments that I'd like to offer that I don't think people have a reasonable objection to, that could save the taxpayers some money.
But you said that people can comment on the appeal. Okay. Is there any other comments on the appeal? No. Okay. The motion before us is the ordinance as amended. Mr. Duma, your vote is?
No, the motion is to appeal the decision of the chair regarding whether or not it is a 2/3 vote or a majority vote on the motion to call the previous question, whether we're following Robert's rules or we're ignoring them.
Now, the motion is, should the decision of the chair be sustained? So if you vote yes, that means you're voting in support of the decision of the chair.
No, that's not true.
So the question is, should the decision of the chair be sustained? A yes vote is you are voting in favor of the decision of the chair.
And does this require 7-3 or 6-4? Simple majority?
Majority, yes.
Okay. So that's the motion in front of us. Mr. Duma?
It's 3/5.
I'm no to sustaining the vote, the ruling of the chair.
No.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes, and the motion passes 6-4. So now we are calling the question. Okay, I'm sorry, we're calling the question the motion to pass the ordinance as amended. Mr. Duma?
Pass.
Okay. Mr. Kadim?
No.
Okay. Mr. Gresko? I'm sorry, Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mr. Gresko?
No.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Antezo?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
And I vote yes. Mr. Mayor?
I vote yes as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
She's in bed with him, guys. Told you so.
Excuse me, order, please. It's awful. Awful. Okay, Mr. Young.
You voted with the mayor.
Mr. Young.
Your arch enemy, Beth.
Mr. Young, the next thing is the mill rate ordinance. And Ms. Collier, can you inform us as to?
You're talking about the mill rate ordinance or the new appropriation dollar amount for the first ordinance?
I'm sorry?
Okay, we're talking about the mill rate ordinance?
Yes, the mill
Okay.
rate ordinance. What is the new mill rate
The new
as
mill rates
calculated?
are, there's two of them, 37 for motor vehicle and 38.99 for all other.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Young?
Resolved that the second reading of the above entitled ordinance be dispensed with, as copies thereof have been received by all council members, and the foregoing be and is hereby approved, effective July 1st, 2016.
Second.
So we are saying that the fiscal year 17 we would be voting on this and then amending it to those numbers, right?
Yes. Voting on the amendment?
Okay. So the amendment is that the mill rate for motor vehicles is 37 and the mill rate for all other property is 38.99.
Correct.
Okay. And there's a first and a second to that?
Yes, there was.
Okay. All in favor?
Roll call, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, roll call. Mr. Duma?
No.
No.
Mr. Gresko?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Okay, I vote yes. Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. So that motion passes 6-5. That's the amendment. And now, Mr. Young?
I move that item 5.2.3.2B as amended.
Second.
Okay, the motion is for the mill rate to be set as amended. Okay, mill rate ordinance. Okay, all in favor, I will do a roll call discussion. All in favor, I will do a roll. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Manis.
I just want to tell everyone, welcome to Bridgeport. That's where we're headed.
Mr. Kadeen?
I just want you guys to recognize that, raising the mill rate ain't always the solution. A lot of people are getting paid a lot of money to come up with a better solution, and it's just not being done. And I pray that we can get you guys to do your job so we can stop taking all the money from the taxpayers.
Thank you. Okay. Any more discussion?
Yes. I'd like to express my thanks to the bipartisan group of people who support the taxpayers, which isn't the bipartisan group that voted for this tax hike.
Okay, we're discussing this mill rate ordinance. Okay. Call the question?
Yeah. Move the question, item 5.2.3.2B as amended.
Okay, all in favor of calling the question? I'm sorry, second. Is there a
Second, Madam Chairman.
All in favor of calling the question?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Okay, do a roll call vote?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Okay, yes, the motion passes 6-4.
I rise to a point of procedure to note on the record that Robert's Rules requires it be a majority vote.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
If
Clerk.
if Mr. Dumas would look at this council's rules of order, he'd see that in Section 8, motion to move the previous question requires a majority vote.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now the question is the modification, the ordinance on the mill rate as amended. I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Dumas?
No.
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 Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody want a house on Fox Hill Road? No.
I vote yes. It's tie vote, 5-5.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion passes 6-5.
They can't leave, though.
Okay, the next,
Madam Chairman?
next-
Madam Chairman?
yes.
If I might just tell the members of the council that at the conclusion of the meeting, a rate bill must be signed by each of the members of the council. So before you leave tonight, you have to sign that rate bill.
I will not sign.
Okay, thank you.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, the next,
I move to adjourn.
Second.
okay, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed?
No.
No.
I vote no. I think that motion failed, but let's do a roll call vote. Mr. Duma?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Mr. Gresco?
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
And I vote no, so that fails 6-4. Okay. The next thing on the agenda is communications, bills, petitions, remonstratives. Item 4.1, we have the resignation of Harold Watson from Parks and Rec Committee. Is there a motion to accept that resignation?
Madam Chairman, I move we accept the resignation.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. All in favor of accepting the resignation of Harold Watson from Parks and Recreation Committee, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, that passes 9-1. Mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few announcements. I did have a meeting with Deputy Commissioner Mike Sullivan regarding the Raymark softball field for a legal update that was held last Wednesday, which was last day's session. It was pretty busy up there, but we're making progress with that site. I also had Senator Kelly involved with that meeting, as well as some staff from both DEEP and my chief of staff was with me as well. Also, we discussed the Army engine plant and our Army Corps' involvement with that site. DEEP is encouraged by discussions with the Corps and expects the Corps to offer a solution to the remediation of the mudflats at the Army engine plant. Operation River Cleanup was this past Saturday. It was reported that approximately 16 tons of debris was collected. I just want to thank all the volunteers that came out and helped make our town look beautiful and clean, and also pitched in on what was a rainy day. Memorial Day Parade is scheduled this May 30th. The ceremony at Academy Hill begins at 11 a.m., and the parade begins at 12:15 p.m. Please come out and join us for this event. Also, the Veterans Breakfast is Wednesday, May 25th, starting at 9 a.m. at Four Seasons. All vets are welcome to attend this breakfast. Please call my office if you plan on attending. Also, I just want to congratulate this council on getting through their first budget. I know you've been struggling a lot with their meetings back in January. This is the council that I think has met more than any other council I've ever seen, ever. I know you had a lot of hard work ahead of you. I suspect you still will, given the state of our state and the economic situation going on here in our state of Connecticut. There's going to be many challenges ahead, but I'd just like to congratulate you all for attempting to have civil discourse and participating in the process, but more importantly, working together. We had a Board of Ed that voted in a bipartisan fashion on their budget, and we just saw this today in our town council. So I'd just like to thank all the members for their hard work. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Next part is Appointments Historic District Commission. As you know, that commission is out of whack in terms of, okay, so.
I am, and we'll have an appointment for you next month. Not at this time. We never got the information.
Do it anyway.
We reached out to him.
Do it anyway.
I didn't get the information. You never got it.
I thought they agreed on everything.
Mitzi?
No, okay.
We're,
Committee reports, there was Building Needs Committee, referred the following Stratford High School renovations project change orders to council with favorable recommendation from their regularly scheduled meeting of April 18th. Turner Construction for $75,000, which covers the first 9 months of the work before the BSC decide on a design. Is there a resolution there?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the recommendation of the Building Needs Committee, which is based on a recommendation from the school subcommittee, that recommendation is accepted and the change order in the amount of $75,000 to Turner Construction for the Stratford High School renovations project be and is hereby approved.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Just in discussion, that matter, these are for the costs that were incurred by Turner prior to the selection of that option 17. This is within the budget. It's included in the project funds, and it will be reimbursed at the 60/40 rate that's been agreed to with the state.
Okay. Okay, there's any other discussion? Motion to call a question?
I move that we call the question, Madam Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of calling the question?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, all in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes 10-0. Okay, B, Antonazzi Associates Amendment for $34,500 for audio-video design. Is there a resolution?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I make a motion that the recommendation of the Building Needs Committee is accepted and the change order to Antonazzi Associates in the amount of $34,500 be and is hereby approved.
Second.
She doesn't have to.
Similar to the prior item, this item is included in the project funds, and rather than Antonazzi performing this work, they've decided to go out and hire a consultant who specializes in this work, and because the money involved is over $5,000, it requires council approval.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes 10-0. Antonazzi Associates Amendment for $110,400 for technology design consulting by D'Agostino and Associates.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Once again, be it resolved that the recommendation of the Building Needs Committee is accepted and the change order to Antonazzi Associates for D'Agostino and Associates Technology Design Consulting in the amount of $110,400 be and is hereby approved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
As a means of discussion, similar to the other two items, the costs for this are included in the budget. It will be reimbursed at the 60/40 rate, and this consultant, the decision was made to bring them in as part of a lessons learned thing from some of the technology challenges that presented themselves at the end of the Vicky Soto School project.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 10-0. EMS Funding Committee. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the EMS Funding Committee, the following was referred to council. Request from volunteers for public donation funds in the amount of $4,500 for purchasing appropriate uniforms and accessories for the Honor Guard.
I make a motion to table that, if I may, due to lack of, I guess, information or the bill. I'd like to table it.
Thank you.
I'd second that, Madam Chair.
Okay, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion is tabled. Okay, on Ordinance Committee, the Ordinance Committee conducted a regularly scheduled meeting on April 25th, at which time the following was referred to council with favorable recommendation: the ordinance amending Chapter 200, Trees, Shrubs, and Woody Vegetation. Okay, Ms. Manis?
I'm not doing anything.
Okay,
You can.
okay, fine. Would somebody like to make a motion? Mr. Young?
Resolve the second reading of the above entitled ordinance be dispensed with copies thereof have been received by all council members, and the foregoing be and hereby approved effective 30 days from passage.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this ordinance? Mr. Duma?
Yes, Madam Chair. I think that this is a wholly unnecessary ordinance, and since this came before the Ordinance Committee, I had time to do a little research. This is actually a holdover from the last council. It was introduced by Mr. Kubik. It is my understanding that this ordinance was partially created, although not exclusively, partially created to cause some trouble for people who aren't necessarily in good favor with the town in terms of their trees, as for political purposes. But regardless of that, the merits of it, we just don't need it. There's general statutes that set out the duties and obligations of the tree warden. They have a lot of authority under those statutes. I think this is superfluous legislation, but maybe it'll give them something to do with all the tax dollars that we just handed over to them.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this ordinance? Yes, Ms. Manis?
I agree with Mr. Dumont. After reviewing it, and I actually came on as a sponsor to it, that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't move it, because I think it is absolutely redundant and it will target people. That's what it was intended to do.
Okay.
Second.
Yes, Mr. Kadim?
Thank you, Chair. I echo the sentiments of both council people here that we don't need to put any more strain on the town or the people here. You guys already did with passing of the budget. But this is disgusting. It has to stop. I mean, it's never going to get better if we keep doing the same old thing.
Okay, any other discussion on this? No? Okay. Let's, I'm sorry, was there a discussion down there? Okay. Mr. Leclerc? Oh, I thought you had, Mr. Florek, we're okay? Okay. Okay. All in favor of adopting this ordinance? We need to do this by roll call vote. Mr. Duma?
No.
No.
Yes.
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 Ms. Antezo?
Pass.
Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Ms. Antezo?
No.
I vote yes. That passes 6-4. Okay. Item 5.2.3C, an ordinance appropriating $11,565,000 for various public improvements in the capital improvement program for fiscal year 2016-17.
Where is she now?
Is there a motion to table this?
Madam Chairman, I move we table item 5.2.3.2.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
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 Okay, the motion passes 7-3, it sounds like. That motion is tabled. I'm sorry, the item is tabled. Part D is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of 11,565,000 bonds of the town to meet the appropriation for various public improvements in the capital improvement program for fiscal year 2016-17 and pending issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. Is there a motion to table this?
I move to table item, I'm sorry, Madam Chairman. I move to table item 5.2.3.2B.
D.
B.
No, we're on D.
Oh, I'm sorry. D. I lost my place, too.
Okay, is there a second for the motion to table?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling this?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, the motion seems to pass 9-2. Motion votes aye. Motion passes 9-1 to table. Now we're on E.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I move to table 5.2.3.2, item E, an ordinance appropriating $762,500 for various public improvements in the capital equipments program for fiscal year 2016-2017.
Is there a second to that motion to table?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, that motion passes, chair votes aye. Motion passes 8-2. Okay, now we're on F.
Madam Chairman, I move that we table an ordinance authorizing the issue of bonds $762,500 to meet the appropriation for various public improvements in the capital equipment program for fiscal year 2016-2017 and pending issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Okay, is there a second to tabling that?
Second.
Okay, it's seconded by Mr. Hardin. Okay, all in favor of tabling that ordinance?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, that chair votes aye. That motion passes 7-3.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move to reconsider E, where I voted with you. I'd like to vote against.
On which one?
E.
E.
It goes 7-3 instead of 8-2.
Madam Chairman, I moved that I second her motion
You second her motion to
Yeah.
reconsider? Okay.
to allow her to vote no.
Okay, so we're going to redo, what was? It was 8-2, so that motion passes 7-3 instead. Okay. Now we're at 5.24.4, Short Beach Commission. I call on Mr. Llewellyn to explain this as chair of the Short Beach Commission.
Certainly. At our last Short Beach Commission that was held on May 2nd, a sort of plan was put forward for FTS Gallery. They're a local business. They're looking to celebrate their 5th anniversary celebration. As part of that, they would like to hold an event at Short Beach on June 4th, and they're going to be having some volunteer workers and volunteer performers come in, and they were wondering if they could get our permission to have just the volunteers and the performers be admitted into the beach for free without having to pay the $20 per car fee.
Okay.
The way they would like to manage this is they will put someone at the gate with a list and only let the people that are listed in enter. Anyone attending or looking to, go to the event from the general public will still be charged as usual.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to make a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to allow the workers and artisans that are volunteering their time for that event to be able to access the beach without being charged. And I'm aware that as part of discussion, there may be a number attached to that.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Ms. Manis?
June 5th is Stratford Day in Main Street, and I'm just curious as to the number of, this is going to be a big event, and I'm just curious if the town can handle, Public Works and Parks is going to be able to handle the high volume in both places, and as well as police and security. Are we responsible for any of that?
Okay, thank you. The mayor would like to respond to that.
Sure. Can I have Public Works step forward? Mo McCarthy, just as far as the staffing issue regarding doing 2 events at once in town. I believe the question is, are we going to have the available staff that could handle 2 events such as this at the same time on the same day? And,
Excuse me, I just want to remind that the motion on the table only pertains to having workers and artisans getting free entrance to the park.
Well, there was going to be workers that are working the gate, so that would pertain.
But I
if you
think,
wanna talk about that.
I think in terms of public information, it would be good to have more information about that day.
As far as Public Works Department is concerned, with proper planning, we'll handle both. We need more information from this group as to what they have planned and what they expect for attendance, and it'll help us with the planning to take care of the situation.
You mean from the Forest to Shore Gallery? You need.
That's correct. I believe there's a meeting coming up this week on that. So right now, I don't have a lot of the information we need. But with the proper information, we can deal with it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McCarthy.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair?
Mr. Kadim?
Yeah, I had a question. This gala that's happening, did they say how many free people? That should, I mean, before we vote on this, shouldn't we know how many free people are getting in at a price of $20? We should know that. I mean, as it stands, I'm saying no, but I'm just saying we should know that.
No, understood. I understand your point, Councilman Kadim, and it's a great point. And it's I mentioned that to them in terms of bringing up this motion. They're still going through the permitting process with the health department, and also going through zoning with kind of setting up where their final locations are going to be for their items, and that's sort of the permitting process that Mr. McCarthy was referring to.
Through the chair, I understand that, but being on the rec board for so many years, just like when the Shore Beach Commission came and actually get those 10 free passes, or half price, 10 half price for people who vending the big #1 pavilion, they had a number, which was 10. So that's why I say, for me to vote on this at this time, it should have been better prepared in terms of how many, and that would be a better way to address it.
Absolutely. We had that discussion at the Shore Beach Commission, and we kind of told that to the applicant that we really felt like they were, putting us in a little bit of a challenging position by being where they were in terms of, their planning and not having the town approvals already put in place. The commission decided and put to a vote to have this discussion come before the council, and so that's why even when I brought this up for discussion, I brought it up with the understanding that there might be a number attached to it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more discussion, Ms. Manis?
I'd like the list. I'd like to ensure, I don't know if this is the right time or if we're going to flesh this out more, but it looks like it's happening. So I would like to make sure, whether Short Beach Commission does or Public Works, that the person standing watching the cars come in and making sure is one of our workers from Stratford and not just a volunteer, because if the volunteer from FTS doesn't show up, then there's nobody there at the gate. So I want to make sure that they submit a list and they go through the proper protocols, possibly with license plates, because this is, as I understand it, and I'm supposed to go to it, it's going to be a gigantic event. So we really need to make sure that it's carefully monitored.
No, understood. I believe that their intention is to have someone, have someone at the gate for the 45 minutes while the setup is going on, and so their volunteer would be there with our designated paid gate person who's always there on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor? It looks like there's no more discussion. All in favor of allowing the workers and artisans with a list provided by FTS Galleries free entrance to the park, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
All opposed? Chair votes no also. So that the motion passes 8-2. Town Attorney's report.
I was asked to provide a report regarding the Shakespeare fundraiser. The brief history of it is that the Shakespeare Festival fundraiser donated $20,000 for use towards the American Shakespeare Theater. The check was dated December 30, 2014. By Town Council resolution of August 10, 2015, they voted to entrust the $20,000 donation to the Stratford Arts Commission to be used to promote the arts and enhance the Shakespeare Theater property as it deems appropriate. The Stratford Arts Commission voted on September 21, 2015 to approve the transfer of the proceeds from the Shakespeare Festival to an escrow account for Stratford Stage Group. The proceeds were deposited in an account at Milford Bank as an escrow account to serve as collateral for a loan to SSG from Milford Bank. That CD matures on October 7, 2016. Finance Director Sue Collier and I met to discuss it. We're drafting a letter to the bank to say we want to close the account and the town would like the funds sent back. I imagine the bank would say, well, the loan has to be repaid first. The loan is personally guaranteed by David Reed, so he's personally responsible as well as SSG. So that's the status of the funds right now. And that's my
Okay.
report.
He took out a loan using that?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm going to, I recognize Mr. Young.
So he took out a loan using that money as collateral?
Yes.
Mr. Chase.
How much was the loan for?
I imagine.
Same amount? $20,000?
Yeah.
12,000.
It was better than just giving him the money. I couldn't just give him the money because he didn't produce any invoices. But yet, the Stratford Arts Commission voted that he could use the money, so the money is in an account. He borrowed against it. He needs to pay the bank back.
Like now?
And so we're asking the bank to close the loan. At that point, they will ask Mr. Reed to pay back the loan. And assuming he pays back the loan, we take our money back. If he doesn't, we'll take action.
And the amount was?
Wait a second. Ms. Manis was next.
So I've scoured the minutes from the Arts Commission, and I'm not sure. I'd have to go to the videotape, and talk with Carol, but it looks as though there was a meeting, I think it was July, maybe it was May, I'm not sure. But anyway, there was a meeting where there was a check presented by the mayor to SSG as a donation to SSG. And in the minutes, it says donation from Shakespeare to SSG. It doesn't say donation from Shakespeare to Town of Stratford. I asked for clarification from people from Shakespeare today, and I also asked if there was ever a vote. They said the town council voted to give that money to SSG. I can't find that either in the minutes. So that the town council was the vote, and somebody who was on the council said that, was the vote to give the money to SSG, and that when the mayor presented the check, it was a donation directly from Shakespeare to SSG. Then that was what it looked like in the minutes. That's what it says in the minutes. So it's very confusing. It feels like everybody keeps saying the Arts Commission gave the money away, but I don't think the Arts Commission was involved in the vote at all, and the town council was, and now we're in a predicament where we couldn't even reconsider because nobody currently on the council was at on the council when that money was granted to them. So can somebody clarify all that?
Yes, I will. The Stratford Arts Commission voted on September 21, 2015 to transfer of funds to SSG. I'm reading from the minutes. Bruce Hirsch moved to approve the transfer of the proceeds from the 2014 Shakespeare Festival to SSG's escrow account, seconded by Bill Franz. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, so that was from which one? September 21st?
2015.
Okay, I went back that way because I saw the other ones. Okay, thank you.
Madam
Welcome.
Chairman,
Okay, Ms. Antezo?
could you repeat again, Sue maybe, how much money he owes to the bank of this loan that he took out against the deposit? What was the dollar amount?
I'm waiting on that information from the bank. It's up to $20,000.
Thank you. Mr. Kadim?
Yeah, once again, when we was dealing with the Shakespeare situation, that was a long and intense one in terms of if we go with them or not, and this is proof that we were better not going with them. So thank God that we see that.
Thank you.
I'd like to point out one thing.
Ms. Manis?
I'd also like to point out that at the town council meeting where the money was given to the town, there was a bit of a side conversation regarding keeping that money in town, in the town council's budget, and not putting it in the Arts Commission budget. And that money, and I believe it was Mr. Santee who raised issue with it, and that was part of his concern, was that it was a large sum of money to just give to a commission of citizens to then have in their possession. And what would happen, and it was oh no, and the town council voted to hand that money over. So I'm not quite sure why that happened, but I think we need to learn from history and realized we need to not do that ever again. I want to put that in the record because he did raise issue with it and was kind of told, no, be quiet, and it went through anyway.
So I just want to ask some questions. So the Stratford Arts Commission gave the town council gave the Arts Commission the money.
Yes.
And the Arts Commission set up an escrow account, but really just a CD? No.
The people from Shakespeare donated the money to the town.
Mm-hmm.
It went into a reserve account, specifically to be used for the physical improvements of the facility.
Mm-hmm.
Subsequent to that, the town council, I believe, they discussed it with the owners of the Wines Unlimited, who ran the festival. They said, we would like it to go to SSG.
Mm-hmm.
So the town council voted to take the money out of our reserve account and give it to the Arts Commission. That was voted on, we mentioned the day in the minutes. The Arts Commission then voted to give it to SSG.
Mm-hmm.
As finance director, I couldn't just give the money to SSG because I need an invoice for services delivered before I cut a check.
Chairman?
Therefore, it was a struggle, but to work our way around it, we decided that we would set up a CD and they could borrow against it, but it's up to me. So the money eventually should be coming back to the town of Stratford once
Thank
Mr.
you.
Reed pays his loan.
Mr. Chase?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Those kind of maneuvers, like financial maneuvers, should not be taking place at all.
Should not be taking what?
Should not be taking place. What the council just passed in the new budget would to transfer the Arts Commission money to the council contingency so that in the future, if the Arts Commission wishes to spend some money, they need to come to this body first for approval.
Thank you. Ms. Mann, I'm sorry, you spoke twice on it. Mr.
I'd also
Duma?
like to point out that one of the deciding votes in that vote in the Arts Commission was Bruce Hurst, who happens to be the treasurer of the Stratford Stage Group.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Ms. Manis?
I have something to share. I asked this question today. Quote unquote, we turned the money over to the town because they were the backer for the festival. The town was pressured to give control of the funds to the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission then moved the funds to SSG. We never directly gave SSG any money. It was moved there with the intent to have it used for the theater. So that is the intent of that money, was to use for the theater, and the group is saying that they want that to still be used for the theater. We have to do something, or else they're not going to do this kind of stuff anymore. People aren't going to step up and volunteer. You commended them on their volunteer efforts. If this happened to me, I would never volunteer again. That's terrible.
I just want to ask Ms. Collier, or whoever knows, what was their loan for?
Excuse me?
What was the loan for? They took out a loan against the CD. What's the loan for? Was it a personal loan, or was it?
No, I have the loan right here. I'm going to read it to you. I'm just trying to call it up. SSG has resolved that the proceeds to be deposited in an account at Milford Bank to serve as collateral for a loan to SSG from Milford Bank. Whereas Reed, on behalf of SSG, has represented that SSG shall not spend or utilize the proceeds other than as collateral for the aforesaid loan. Reed represents that he shall not individually or on behalf of SSG spend or utilize the proceeds in any manner without obtaining approval from the finance director. Reed represents that the sole purpose of the funds is to serve as collateral for a loan to SSG from Milford Bank. Reed represents that he will be the sole decision maker of SSG for the use of the loan proceeds. What?
I'm not sure that we know.
No, that wasn't, yeah. The question is,
There are all types of restrictions as to the escrow account that Sue would have to approve any use of the escrow monies. As to what he used the loan for, I don't know. We'd have to find out.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Sorry.
is there
I don't wanna
anything else that the town attorney wants to report on?
No, thank you.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is Brakehead's license for DeLuca Field.
I have information regarding that. We have a lease agreement for DeLuca Field concession. That's the next one, which is $2,000 annually. And then the license agreement for the DeLuca Hall of Fame Field by the Brakeheads is $5,000 that they will pay. We've done that every year that I know of, and I'm here to seek council approval for that license agreement.
Okay, is there a motion to...
Point of information, have we been provided a copy of the license?
I can provide copies.
Okay, well, I can't vote in favor of it, and not that it's bad, but I can't vote in favor of it until I see the license. It may carry without my vote, though.
Do you have copies?
I have a copy I can...
I think we will need to make copies. Is this timely, or can this be tabled?
It would seem that the season's coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion made to approve the lease and the license?
I'll make a motion to table until we receive information.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed?
I vote against tabling it.
Yeah.
Isn't this time
Oh,
sensitive?
wait, yeah, but we're voting on tabling right now.
Yeah.
So there was one yes for tabling. Are there any no's for tabling?
I'll vote no for tabling.
No.
No.
Okay. No. The motion to table fails.
Just some
Chairman?
information.
I'm sorry?
Madam Chairman?
Mr. Chase?
I would agree with Mr. Duma on this issue. Can we just move on while copies are being made, and then we could take a look at it?
Thanks.
Okay. I think that's fine. Do we need a motion to do that, or can we just come back to this?
Madam Chairman, I just wanted to draw
Madam
your
Chair, we
attention
need
to
to
the
table it and take it off
next
the table.
item is also a lease,
Not table.
break-it lease. Maybe he could do, if you want copies of both.
No, you can't go to the next item yet. You still have an item in front of you. If you're not
It goes
going
for
to consider
DeLuca
it...
Field, and then it goes for the
I'm sorry, one at a
concession.
time, please. Mr.
you-
Leclerc?
You can't start discussing the next item. You have this item 5.3.1 before you. You have to do something to it.
Is there a motion to amend 5.3, the agenda, so 5.3.2 and
just-
5.3.3 come after 5.3?
Madam Chair, the easiest way to do it is just simply table this, because you can remove it from the table at some...
We can put it on the
How's that?
table now and take it
Okay.
off the table later in the meeting.
Okay,
I second the motion to table.
okay. All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
I don't know who made the motion, but if someone didn't, I did.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I move, because I assume we also have a contract for the break-it lease for the concession stand, that we table that until we get a chance to look at the lease.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second.
For a few minutes. You can
Okay. All in favor of tabling the Brakehead's lease for concession stand?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion is tabled.
We're bringing...
Okay, Charles V. Johnson, executive session was requested. Is there a motion made to go into executive session?
Going into executive session.
Is there a motion made to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session?
Is there a second for that motion?
Madam Chair, I raise a point of procedure. The motion needs to include the names of the individuals who are going to attend the executive session, so I would recommend that you add counsel to that motion.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I think the motion
Okay.
should be that because this is a matter of pending claim and litigation, I'd like to take this into executive session with the participants being the members of the council, the mayor, and the town attorney staff, myself, Mr. Leclerc, and Mr. Hodgson. I think that would probably be sufficient.
Okay, so are you moving that?
Yeah, I'm moving that,
Is
please.
there a second?
Second, Madam Chairman.
Okay, all in favor of going to executive session?
No.
No?
Okay,
No again.
the motion passes 7-3, and we are going into executive session. Session,
Madam Chairman, I move we come out of executive session.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of being out of executive session?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're out of executive session. Mr. Hardin, do you want to make a motion regarding approving the lawyers to go ahead with the settlement as discussed?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Joe would say.
discussion?
I'd just like to say this particular case is in an area of law I have a lot of experience in, and Attorney Florek, as someone who's often critical of our town attorneys, Attorney Florek is giving excellent advice.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Madam Chairman, I'd also like to say Mr. Florek is doing an excellent job for us as town attorney.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chase. Anybody else?
Through the
Mr.
chair.
Kadim?
Well, I always felt that way about Mr. Florek. I love him to death, so I think he does a great job.
Okay. Yes, the mayor?
I kind of like him, too.
And he's getting a hug.
I don't like lawyers.
And he's my lawyer.
Okay. Okay, all in favor of the question before us?
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas is having a love session with Mr. Florek.
Okay, all in favor of the motion before us, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 10-0. Okay, thank you. Short Beach Restaurant, I believe that's you. Okay, Town Attorney?
Yes, excuse me. With regard to the Short Beach concession, the lease is out for signing. I should have it back by tomorrow. They keep promising it to me. One of the hesitations was when the building would be done, which should be done by May 16th, with the application for zoning should be filed this week. So I should have it wrapped up by the end of the week.
Any questions? I have a question. Was that lease, I never saw the final copy of it, the final version of it. What's the end date of it?
November of 2018, I believe. I believe I sent it, but I can send you another copy. But
Perhaps in the
it's
budget.
November 2018 is the end date.
It's November, okay.
Counselor, could you share it with the entire council? The chair doesn't always share documents with the rest of the council.
I will be happy to.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Young?
Did you ever find out whether they got their liquor license? And
That's the zoning application that should be heard in June.
so we weren't in a real hurry back then, as they professed that
Yeah.
they were in such a hurry. Yeah, right. I know restaurant people.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Fresco?
And what was the payback schedule that was agreed to over the course of the years? Because I'm hearing that the price tag of this is now up to $400,000 paid for by the town.
Yeah. I can get that for you. Hold on. It's $25,000 in the first year, $30,000 for year 2 and year 3, and then it goes to market rent thereafter.
And Bozzi's is good with that?
They were fine with that, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Mighty Quinn Foundation. Executive session is requested.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the Mighty Quinn Foundation
Okay, thank you.
contract.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I think Madam,
As a point of procedure, we need to
Add
add
who's in
the
executive
members,
session.
the town attorney, assistant town attorneys, and mayor, although that's to the motion.
Councilor Dumas is right, and the purpose to go in to discuss written communication from Attorney Jackson regarding this matter.
Do you withdraw your motion? Make
I'll
new one?
withdraw my motion. I don't want to go anywhere with them.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to go into executive session with the aforementioned people,
Make a motion to do so.
persons? People. Okay, a motion is made by Mr. Chase. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of going into executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Okay, the motion passes 8-2. Okay, is there a second? Okay. All in favor of coming out of executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
No. Mark, Dumas, Carol.
Okay. Motion passes. Okay. We need a motion to allow Mr. Jackson to negotiate with the Mighty Quinn Foundation as discussed in executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to allow Attorney Jackson to negotiate with the Mighty Quinn Foundation as discussed in executive section.
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion?
I think this is a great organization that does a lot for the community. I think that's something we need to take into account, and let's get this done quickly. Let's not let this be turned into a Stratford Stage Group contract negotiation.
No. Okay. Mr. Kadim?
I'm 100% behind the arts, and from what I know about the Mighty Quinn Foundation, I think they do a great job, and I pray that they continue to do a great job, and thank you so much.
Thank you. All in favor, all in favor of having Mr. Jackson negotiate as described in executive session, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion passes 10-0. Okay. The next thing is the DeLuca, I need a motion to take the DeLuca Fields.
I'd like to take the DeLuca Fields contract off the table.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Madam Chairman.
Point of
The
information,
DeLuca
there are two
Hall-
contracts.
Hall of Fame
Yeah.
Field.
Take
We'll
them
do
both
the
off.
field first.
The DeLuca Field contract, not the concession stand, yet.
Oh, God, don't tell me we're going into executive session again.
No, we're not.
Okay, it's for DeLuca Hall, the license agreement for DeLuca Hall of Fame Field. Do we need a moment to review this?
Are there any changes, Madam Chair? I don't know if this goes to the town attorney or...
Actually, how about if we make the motion first and then we'll discuss?
Oh, okay. I make a motion to approve the lease agreement for DeLuca Hall of Fame Field for the Breakettes for this upcoming softball season.
The license agreement?
Second.
Okay, that was a motion for the license agreement?
For the field,
Yes, it's a license, not a lease?
correct.
Okay. And there was a second to that? Okay, all in favor? I'm sorry, discussion? Okay.
Question to the town attorney via the chair. Is there any changes to this license agreement for the field from last year's?
No, not that I've seen.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on this, Mr. Kadim?
Yeah, we've been discussing this inside of the Park and Rec. We was discussing like the different things that had to be fixed. You know, have they, I think, 75th anniversary, if I'm correct. And some of these things that, you know, that is expected to be done is very costly. And I think even though they haven't their anniversary, it should have been dealt with a long time ago. A long time ago, should have been maintenance all the time on this field. It's a very popular field, it's a very beautiful field. And of course, quite naturally, we like those kind of things to shine, and I hope that in the future we don't have to go backwards. We can just keep the field nice all the time. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more discussion on this? Okay, all in favor of approving this lease agreement? This license agreement of the motion? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes 10-0. Okay, is there a motion to take the DeLuca Field concession off the table?
Madam Chairman, I move we take the lease,
Yep, you said it right.
yeah,
The
the
lease
lease agreement, sorry, Madam Chairman, the lease agreement for DeLuca Field concession off the table.
Second.
Well,
Okay, discussion?
not actually.
I would like to say something.
Ms. Dumas?
I
mean, Ms. Manis?
He has a wife. I would,
We didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I gotta
Is
vote
there, okay, all in favor of taking this off the table?
I
All opposed? Motion passes 10-0. Okay.
I just wanted to say that this was similar to the vote that we took, where we were allowing the Breakheads to use this for their field, for their events. I think that they're a great town organization and that we should recognize them, and I'm glad we have continued agreements with them. That's all.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, the Breakouts are part of the history of this town, and we owe them a great deal of gratitude, and I too would support this.
Okay. Was there a motion made to approve this lease agreement?
No, only the motion to take it off
the table. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the lease agreement.
Okay. Is there a second to approve the lease agreement?
Second.
Okay.
Madam Chair, just
discussion on the lease
quick
agreement?
discussion. I echo the sentiment of Councilors Chase and Manis. This is one of our institutions.
And also, I'd like to echo that as well, because when you have something like a town, a small town like this, it's a beautiful town. And when you have something that's been around for so long, serving the community, I think it's very important that we continue to support that. Just want to say thank you to all of these guys.
Okay. All in favor of approving the lease agreement for the DeLuca Field concession, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 10-0.
Madam Chairman, can I make a motion to adjourn now?
Okay. Is there a second for that motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
No.
No.
Aye.
Okay, wait. We're going to do roll call vote.
I don't want to adjourn.
Mr. Duma?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
You're never going to find out
Yes.
the gas.
Yes.
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 No.
What did you want to
I also,
Gas. For the public works vehicles. VNA is getting gassed up.
I would also vote no. Is there anybody who wants to change their vote?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to change my vote
Okay.
to allow Ms. Manis to ask the
You don't
mayor.
need to say why, but you want to change your vote?
Yes.
I'll change
Okay.
my vote as well.
I'll
Okay.
change my vote too.
Okay, so the motion fails.
Would the chair,
We have
through you,
questions
Madam
to
Chairman,
town
could you
attorney.
ask Ms. Manis,
Okay, Ms.
recognize
Manis?
Ms. Manis?
Questions to the mayor.
No, the next section is questions to the town attorney.
We
Is
went
there?
there already. We did that.
We didn't do that yet.
Oh, no, we
No,
didn't.
we haven't gone over. Are there any questions to the town attorney's office, Mr. Duma?
I'll keep this brief. I only have one. I'd asked Attorney Hodgson for an opinion on whether or not the term limits ordinance applies to Mr. Henrik in the planning special election. I don't know whether that is forthcoming.
It is. We referred it to outside counsel, Vince Marino,
And when
Connor
do we-
Wolf.
when
I'll
do we-
check in with him tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, are there other questions to the town attorney? Okay. Now questions to mayor or, questions to the mayor or staff. Are there any questions to the mayor or staff?
Tina.
I have a question. So, when the VNA were here, the Visiting Nurse Association,
Yep.
she shared her billing. We've received multiple emails and from them. However, I found information that VNA receives their 16-vehicle fleet is gassing up at Public Works Station all the time. So when the VNA was on the table to be cut, are we losing our gas too? Someone asked.
No, actually, VNA is a great organization. I think most of you know that. Some of you may have used them for services, but they're a nonprofit in town. It's a nursing association. They've been filling up their cars there, but they get billed for it and they reimburse the town. There's no maintenance done to those vehicles. The town doesn't pay for any of their vehicles. We are not involved in any of that. It's a separate nonprofit, but that practice has been going on long before I was ever here. And
So can I ask why it's not in the budget under their VNA allocation?
I'll defer to our finance director, Susan Collier.
They send us an invoice each quarter, and we give them 1/4 of their annual allocation. Separate from that, just like everybody who fills up there, they would type in a specific code. They're getting, so they're paying for their gas, but they're just not paying as much tax as other people would because they have access to the municipal gas, and then they pay that bill directly based on their exact usage.
Okay, so that is different though than the money that was in the budget for all these years for patients and people, or is that the same bill?
Actually, the money in the budget is a dollar amount that goes straight to VNA. It's not a bill from them based on how many visits they do. They just charge us they send us a quarterly invoice based on the overall budget.
And that's a different bill?
That's,
than,
well,
than the gas
that's us paying them a quarterly stipend, or however you want to call it, an allocation, and they use it wherever they see fit within their budget. I have no idea how they use it.
But not for the gas. The gas is
The
something
gas,
different?
they're paying us for the gas. The money's going in the opposite direction.
Okay. Where does that go into the line items in revenue or anything? Where does that go? Where do we see that on the budget?
Well, I'll find out. I'm sure there's a revenue account for it.
we're receiving
It's
cash.
probably in one of the Public Works revenue accounts, but I'd have to look
Okay.
into it.
I'm just curious because it was news to me, and they were here, and then it's just strange that somebody was very nervous that the money would be gone and was advocating for it. And I said, I don't think that's the same thing we're talking about. So if I could just know where it is on the budget, then I can say, hey, no, it's right here. So
No problem.
Thanks.
Are there any
Yeah.
other questions for Mr. Kadim?
Yes, how are you, Mayor?
Good.
All right, I'm happy that some of us, walking away from the whole budget experience, and happy for those who got what they wanted. I'm hoping since everybody pretty much got what they wanted, that we can continue that flow. And what I mean by that is, with all the extra expenses, we seem to always, like I said, find money for things. And the South End really needs the water park that we talked about. I pray that we're able to get there this year, because it really would be a convenience for everyone in that part of town. Just like the one we have by Pendersfield, it's really, really been a success. So that's one thing I hope that we can have going forward. The other part of it too is I worked with the South End Community Center for years. The director, Ty Sims, she haven't had a raise in over a decade.
That's not, okay, may I interject?
Yes, sir.
She did. Everyone talks about these wage increases for non-union employees. That was a one-and-done situation where all salaries were adjusted, and all non-union employees did get a bump or adjustment in their salary. That was all inclusive. And by the way, they don't get raises every year like the unions. For example, if you're a teacher in Stratford, you get a raise every year. It's contractual. If you're a public works employee, you get raises. Same is true with all the unions in town. They do get raises. Non-union workers aren't a lot. They actually do a lot in this town. They've been a focus of a lot of attention lately, but they don't get raises. They don't get steps. They don't get a lot. But we did reflect. Ty did get a bump with everyone else over 2 years ago.
Okay, so I'm just still speaking about that same place, the South End Community Center.
Yep.
How they also have a pantry. Now the money in the budget I see was approved for Sterling House to get $35,000 for a person to work in the pantry. Once again, the South End Community Center needs help. I think she's a single parent. I think it should be some structure where she even gets more of a budget. I don't know why you're wrinkling your face. I don't know. Not you, sir. I'm talking about the Mr. Ponte, who I don't know why she's feeling that way, but not having is hard for a lot of parents. So I'm just saying that's something to look at. And it's disgusting that some people don't feel that way. Also, when you look at what occurred with the AAA building, and the people had to put up $7,500, are they able to get that money back?
No, that was money that was a private lawsuit that the neighbors agreed to join in on. And that happens periodically throughout town, but they did win the suit. But no, there's no mechanism for them to, unless there was an issue by the judge in that settlement. I didn't see it. That property is still for sale. There's going to be other people that are probably going to be making adjustments and proposals to that site. We have no idea what's going to end up there, and certainly the neighbors will have their say if and whenever that moves forward.
And Walter Roguskis.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kadim?
Walter Roguskis, he always speaks about this, and I was inquiring about that because I think it's important to find out why it keeps doing that. And some of the equipment that we have that works, the video and audio, some of it is new, but some of it is over 30 years old. And I think it's like $100,000 to straighten that out. Is there some allocation for that going forward?
We're going to be doing a capital plan that obviously this body is going to approve, whether it's a splash park or a sound system. You guys are going to have a discussion on that and actually decide what that plan is going to be.
Without a doubt, Splash Park wins, but I'm just saying.
Without
a doubt.
But that's going to be up to you guys. That's going to be up to this body.
I understand, but I'm saying also, from my understanding, I think since the Meyer administration, The gentleman who does the recording, it was like volunteered that time, so a lot of times, I mean, I know he doesn't get paid for this, right? He just does this because he's a good guy, right?
No, he gets paid. Are you talking about? Yeah, it's David Wright.
But I'm saying the extra time, yeah, he doesn't get overtime for being here? Okay, I mean, like I said, it's just a small guy I'm always fighting for. That's just my nature. And also, once again, everyone that voted and took the time out to look through this budget, I thank all you guys, but I think some of us really have to look again because we're going to have a lot to feel about the fact that all of this money is coming up like this, and some of us really should be ashamed of ourselves for approving all of this stuff because it's really, really bad for the taxpayers who can't afford it. And we need to help these people. So going forward, hopefully you put a budget together that will scale back some money to help people. I really think we can do it. The money's there. I think we should do it. But thank you very much, and God bless you and your family.
No, did you already ask questions to the mayor?
Another question regarding what he was saying.
Yes, Ms. Manis.
The AAA issue that went to court and cost us a ton of money in legal fees, cost us the taxpayers a ton of money, and I'm just curious again as to what the safeguards are to make sure you're saying other places are looking at this. What are we going to do to make sure that this is properly, that the zoning regulations are properly fulfilled so that this doesn't happen again and keep costing us money as a town? Is there anything now that you've looked at that property and seen that ruling that you're like, oh, okay, we had this wrong?
No, listen, I'm not a lawyer. There's an appeals process. I don't know what they're going to do, AAA. I don't believe they filed anything. The property is actively marketed, is on the market right now. It is zone commercial, most of it, but it abuts residential neighborhood. So whatever the zone currently is right now, that's the type of use you're going to be probably looking at in the future. So we don't know yet. The owner may take it off the market. So it's kind of a what-if situation. It's almost, careful what you wish for. So I know the neighbors didn't want AAA. They won. But whatever comes forward after that, I don't know if it's going to be something the neighbors are going to want to see or not, but it's zoned commercially right now. So it's on Ferry Boulevard. It's a very busy street. It's mostly commercial property on that road. But I think it's something that anyone that goes in there is going to realize that the neighbors are sensitive to development, and I would hope that they would interact with the residents and see if it's a development they'd want.
Wait, Ms. Zantezo?
Yeah, I have a question for the mayor. I have noticed that the land just in back of contract plating seems to be turning into a dump. Every time I go by there, I drive around in the back of the supermarkets. It just seems to be getting larger and larger and larger. A question I have is, are other towns bringing their debris there? It's all wood, leaf bags, and that type of thing.
There's a tenant right now that's actively operating there that we're in the process of moving out. They do mulch and wood chipping and that sort of operation. It's called Good Earth. They are going to be leaving, but there's been different size piles back there periodically depending on the time of the year. But that's been there for a while. I don't know if it's all coming in from out of town. I don't know. Some of it's the town material. We actually do business with them also. But I could find out if you'd like. If that's something you're interested in. Okay. That's a town attorney question, by the way.
Mr. Duma.
If we can find out.
Mr. Mayor, when will they be moving out? The Good Earth Tree Company?
I don't know. I'd have to check with the town attorneys with that on you. That's why I looked at Chris Hodgson. Yes, Wally.
Yes, I just one more thing. Once again, thank you for always staying so late. I appreciate you. Just want you to hear that from me.
You guys anytime.
Thank you. Now, when I look at economic development, right? Economic development and also zoning and economic development. Like we had the situation on Hamilton Avenue. Something about changing the quality of life, like behind my house. When I first got there, it was not a big machine, carting company or something. There's so much noise back there, and they even do it on the weekends. Has to be some rules set in place so that we can continue to have a quality of life where, say, on the weekends to this hour to that hour, you can't make all of this noise. I mean, it's really out of hand. So if economic development is doing their part of bringing all these businesses in, that should always help the taxpayer. I mean, we should be rewarded. If we have so many businesses paying on the tax roll and they're in our town, that's why I said I really don't see the reason to keep having all these tax increases when you have economic development working so hard to bring businesses in and put so many people on the tax roll. that it's still hurting us so much. It has to be a way to fix this. It has to be fixed. And also for economic development to earn their keep. I mean, if that's what you paid so much money to them, that they need to, that they're doing their hard work, they should be rewarded in a good light, not in like every time somebody says, oh, what about, no, we should be able to say something good about them so that you can say, hey, because of economic development, now we'll be able to roll the taxes back because they went and did so much good work. You understand? So thank you so much again.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, I have two questions for the mayor. One is about the fleet policy, and this also overlaps with the town attorney. Do we have a fleet policy yet for the cars, for any cars that is actually being implemented?
No, we have a study that we had received over a year ago, and there is no formal fleet plan. That would something. It's a.
Not a fleet plan, a policy, so if somebody has a car...
We do have a policy, I'm sorry.
We haven't,
There is a policy for vehicles. Yes, there is.
Council has not yet seen that.
Yeah, we've got it. Remember, I looked at it, found out that it was over a year old, and we've been asking
Yeah,
Barry for it.
no, we asked for the current one, though.
Oh, I don't think it's been updated.
It said draft, and, yeah.
There is a policy. I know there's a policy.
Mr. Hudson, do you know of the policy? Is there a fleet?
Familiar with the policy?
I'm sorry?
I'm not familiar with the policy.
Okay, there is a policy, there isn't a policy.
No, there is a policy because I signed off on it. I mean, that's Susan, go ahead.
Mr. Timniak?
No, there's more than one, Chris. There is a policy, Mayor, but right now, it's not an active policy, and that's what Mr. Timniak and Mr. Ciccarelli are working on.
We saw that.
No, it was draft and a year old, but I'm asking about, is there an actual policy that if you're taking out a vehicle? Okay.
This one I want to talk about, the short one.
In the sake of time, we won't.
It went out?
We won't. Mr. Timniak, do you want to give us an update quickly?
Good evening. So there is a vehicle policy in place for all employees who sign out a vehicle and have it. They have to fill out an entire questionnaire. In that sort of list, the do's and don'ts and the responsibility they have when they're taking out the car, vehicle rights and responsibilities, and list out, the town of Stratford's responsibilities and your responsibility as the, user of the vehicle.
Okay, that's for daily sign-outs. And how about people who...
That's for everybody.
Okay, can you just send us a copy of that, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and then, I guess that's it.
When you ask, I'd just like to add, when you ask if there's a plan, we were actually looking to possibly do some modifications to not only the management, but also the maintenance, things of that nature. There's a more comprehensive item that we were looking at.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, to make it a little bit more clear, there was a plan in place that was developed in, I believe, 2014,
I wasn't really asking about a
2015.
plan for the...
Right. That plan, while it was done by a consulting firm, Sue Collier and I found out there was inaccuracies and it was weak in many areas. In order to expedite the fact is that people are already using vehicles, and to protect the town and protect the users, I came up with the detailed questionnaire, rules, responsibilities that each driver had to sign off on. That's what Chris or I will send to you. What that did was that covered the town and made everyone clear what their responsibilities were while they had the vehicle. That data and that will then roll and be incorporated into the plan. But first off, since everybody already had the vehicle, it was important to get a questionnaire out with their rules and regulations.
I just want to comment that the questionnaire isn't a policy, and it's a little disturbing that it sounds like we have some sort of policy that the town attorney hasn't seen.
The old
So
the
think we
current
just
town
need to
attorney,
get
the
it
old
together
Italian
here.
attorney did see it.
Okay.
I just had one question about it. Even though we still haven't fixed that situation with the policy itself, but also are people still taking cars home?
People that are emergency services people are.
Right. Well, I know about the police officer. That's no brainer. I'm talking about economic development. I'm talking about these other positions that we had a big discussion about.
No.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I move we adjourn.
Okay, is there a second to adjournment?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. 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 All opposed?
No.